After months of campaigning, debates, and attack ads, the time is now for Governor Daniel Malloy and Republican challenger Tom Foley. If you believe the polls, the race for governor is shaping up to be another very tight one, with voter turnout once again being the critical factor, but it's not without some hiccups. News 8's Ken Pierce joins us live from a polling place in New Haven with word of some voting problems early on. Ken.
Yeah, Keith, we've seen pretty decent turnout. That's the good news in all the polling places we've been to today. But Governor Malloy actually voted later than he had planned this morning up in Hartford because he was consulting with the rest of his campaign about some troubles they were having in Hartford. His campaign, the Malloy campaign, has now asked a judge to step in and extend voting hours tonight in Hartford because of the problems they had at the polls up there. But News 8 cameras were rolling both in Hartford and in Greenwich as both candidates for governor cast their votes this morning. For Republican Tom Foley, it was an uneventful trip to the polls in Greenwich, casting his vote in what looks like another close race for the governor's mansion.
Yeah, this race has been a dead heat for a long time, but and it's now in the hands of the voters. But I think the voters are going to vote for lower taxes, a stronger economy, and change in Connecticut.
But the voting did not go smoothly for some in Hartford. When the polls opened at 6 a.m., the list of voters had still not arrived at some polling places, including the place where the governor votes.
I think that's not good, but again, there's voting in 169 municipalities today, and there are going to be a couple of wrinkles, although this is a serious one. We have people taking a look at it.
It only affected early voters, but it left some of them confused.
I'm sorry. I didn't have my coffee yet.
That man left without voting, and he was not alone.
Some people were turned away from some polling places this morning in Hartford, and in a community where we get about 90% of the vote, that's concerning.
The Secretary of the State says there is a process in place, and it does not involve turning voters away.
The local election officials are able to allow people to write down their name and address, sign it, and show their license, and then they can check it against the list when it gets here.
And at another Hartford polling place, the electronic scanner wasn't working. John let us know it reported that officials told him to just put his ballot in the side of the machine.
I don't know that that was scanned and counted. I trust that it was. It's the first time ever in 30 years in downtown that I've ever questioned whether my ballot counted.
Now, what he described there is actually proper procedure. If the scanner portion of the machine is broken, the ballots go in a side bin and are counted by hand later. I talked to Secretary of the State Denise Merrill this morning. She says Election Day is always exciting. There's always some issue. The question at this point is going to be how big an issue the problems up in Hartford become for this Election Day. We're live in New Haven. I'm Kent Pierce. Keith, back to you.
Ken, thank you. As Kent just mentioned, the Malloy campaign wants voting hours extended at those Hartford area polling locations where there were problems this morning. Reps for Malloy say they are filing a formal complaint in Hartford Superior Court. The campaign contends the additional hours are needed because some people were unable to vote this morning. Others were discouraged from voting.